Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to be diving into my top 5 best teams for the Spring Cup. We have yet another new cup introduced in this season of Pokemon Go. It is the Spring Cup. It takes place at the Great League format, which is a max CP limit of 1,500 or less, in case you've been under a rock and don't know what the Great League format is. And there are only 3 typings allowed in this meta, but it is still quite broad. The 3 typings are water types, grass types, and fairy types. That is what seems to represent spring to Niantic, so we are stuck with it. But like I said, guys, it's still a pretty broad meta, and a lot of Pokemon that are very strong in this meta are likely Pokemon that you already have. So you don't really have to drop any dust for this cup if you choose to participate, and I'm sure many of you will, as it will be running alongside the Open Master League. So always nice to have a more accessible option for those of you who may not have a fully stocked roster of fully excelled legendaries to compete in the Master League. So Spring Cup looking okay, should be pretty fun, at least starting out. So we've got some very strong teams, and without further ado, let's have a look at team number 1. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 1, a very solid and powerful team in the Spring Cup. We've got Tentacruel on the lead, Ferrothorn on the safe swap, and Tropius in the back to close the game strong. A very solid ABB style team. Tentacruel, guys. I know Galarian Weezing is ranked number 1 overall, but in my humble opinion, I have to disagree. I think Tentacruel is the true number 1 Pokemon in this meta. So hopefully you guys have one. This thing is quite strong. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. And here we go. Not bad. Very good. Very solid. Very strong. We get an A for coverage, A for bulk, B for safety, and a B for consistency. Not bad at all. And let's have a look at these matchups. Do you see what I mean, guys? Look at all the wins that Tentacruel gets on the lead. That is absolutely insane. Beats just about everything on the lead in the 2 shield, and I have adjusted this for the 2 shield. So this is adjusted to the 2 shield scenario, which is where all your battles will begin with Tentacruel on the lead. So you really only have to be concerned with 3 Pokemon on the lead, the 3 most relevant Pokemon according to PvPoke, and that is Ferrothorn, Lantern, and to an extent Venusaur. I don't even really count that, as Tentacruel can do quite well depending on the IVs. So really, that comes down to Ferrothorn and Lantern. Venusaur, I think it's a lot closer than PvPoke is giving it credit for. So yeah, we have ideal coverage for those 2 Pokemon that you really only have to worry about, that coming in the form of Ferrothorn on the safe swap. You'll likely draw out a Mawile. That's the only Pokemon with a fire-type fast move in the meta. And that way, Tropius doesn't have to worry about a potential Mawile. And the glimmer of hope there is that you will not last very long. You can easily come back in with Tentacruel, take out the Mawile, clearing the way, hopefully, for Tropius to bring it home for you. That's how the team is designed. Pretty straightforward. You're only swapping out on Ferrothorn and Lantern. Those are the only 2 Pokemon you are hard swapping out on. And to be honest, although Lantern is the number 1 ranked lead option in this meta, I'm not sure how many we'll see, as water types are not the strongest in the meta. The grass types are going to rule this meta, but you may see it, as PvPoke is giving it a number 1 rank for lead options, so you could see it on the lead, and that's why we have got these 2 Pokemon in the back. Everything else in between, pretty straightforward. If you have a Tentacruel mirror match on the lead, you can safely swap out of that. You could stay in, mess around a little bit, maybe throw an acid spray, but they will likely immediately swap just to clear that, so that's generally a waste of energy. So you may want to preserve your Tentacruel so you can just go straight into Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn does quite well against Tentacruel. And if things go awry, the shields start coming down, Tropius can do okay with that bulk, can hit for neutral damage across the board, so not too much to worry about with an opposing Tentacruel on the lead. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Nothing to really hammer home too much here for team number 1. It leads with Tentacruel on the lead, Ferrothorn on the safe swap, and Tropius in the back. So with all that said, that is team number 1. Let's have a look at team number 2. All right, here we go. Team number 2 for the Spring Cup. Another very strong team for you guys to consider. It leads with Ferrothorn on the lead, running Flash Cannon. That is the recommended coverage move in this meta. Hits the ice types pretty hard, let's just say, and actually does a surprising amount of damage to opposing Ferrothorns, so do keep that in mind. Pelipper on the safe swap, and Mantine in the back, another very powerful ABB style team. I think that's the true key to success in these limited metas. Having a strong ABB team is the way to go because it allows you to draw out hard counters, and it's not so much of a 50-50 toss-up. So it allows you a little bit more control in how things go in the matchups. So let's have a look at the scorecard. Another very powerful scorecard for team number 2. We get an A for coverage, B for bulk, A for safety, and a B for consistency. Very good, very solid. Let's have a look at these matchups. So, Ferrothorn's going to be quite strong. Of course, with that steel typing, it comes with a number of resistances, which is where its value comes. Although there are some challenges that you may face on the lead. Of course, the Mawile would be bad news for you. That's why we've got 2 water types in the back. Abomasnow can also be a bit of a handful. If you cannot land that flash cannon, you're in trouble. Just because it outpaces and you are taking neutral damage from the fast move pressure and the very spammy weather balls. So do proceed with caution. The way I would play that is I would look to either threaten the one-shot or grab a shield with the flash cannon, build up to the flash cannon, throw the flash cannon, you will grab a shield or take it out. If they shield, you're going into Pelipper and you are playing on from there. With your shield advantage, you will do just fine. Mawile, that's a no-brainer. You're out of there just as fast as you possibly can. And everything else in between is also pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You're not going to have a fun time with Tropius. Ultimately, Tropius does take that. It does edge it out. It's very narrow, but Tropius does take it. Although Flash Cannon, guys, I'm telling you, if you could land one of those, that hits Tropius pretty hard, and Tropius is about as bulky as it gets. Araquanid can also be quite tedious. It just outbulks you. You're not going to last. You're not going to be the one left standing, so you get out of there. Both of the 2 back Pokemon cover Ferrothorn quite well, so the bad leads you were getting out of there into Pelipper. Abomasnow, that's the one where I would just pressure a shield and then get out of there in the Pelipper, because Pelipper up a shield will do just fine up against Abomasnow. And yeah, everything else is pretty straightforward there. You're going to do just fine with Ferrothorn on the lead. You've got coverage for it in the back to cover those weaknesses. And yeah, you should be able to rack up some nice wins in the Spring Cup if you so choose to run team number 2. And it does lead with Ferrothorn on the lead, Pelipper on the safe swap, and Mantine in the back to close the game strong. So that is team number 2. Let's have a look at team number 3. Okay, here we go. Team number 3, another powerful team. Any team with Tentacruel is going to be A-okay with me. I'm thoroughly impressed with how this thing is looking to be performing in this cup. It leads with, speaking of, team number 3 leads with Tentacruel. We've got Trevenant on the safe swap and Abomasnow in the back to close for you. Another ABB team. Again, that's the way to go with these limited metas, especially with only 3 typings available to you. You're definitely going to want a solid ABB team, and this is yet another one. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. Not bad, pretty solid. We do have a bit of an eyesore in the bulk department, guys. Yeah, Trevenant definitely has that effect on a scorecard, bringing that bulk score right down, but that's okay, not a big deal. The amount, as hard as it hits, that more than makes up for it. But we do get an A for coverage, an A for safety, and a B for consistency. So very solid overall. And again, we saw how Tentacruel performs on the lead, which is why we're leading with it yet again. It is just too dominant on the lead to not consider it. And just like with team number 1, we are only really hard swapping out on Ferrothorn or Lantern. Very easy. Everything else, you're staying in and you're dominating. But if you do have to hard swap on either a Ferrothorn or a Lantern, you've got coverage for it in the back, and Trevenant is the dedicated safe swap. You'll want to draw out that Mawile if it's lurking in the back, maybe even an Ice type. That way Tentacruel can come back in, take it out, clearing the way for Abomasnow to perhaps close the game for you. That's how the team is designed, and if you play it that way, it will work to perfection for you more times than not. So yeah, you're just swapping out on Ferrothorn and Lantern, drawing out that hard counter, take it out with Tentacruel, and close with Abomasnow. It's pretty straightforward, yet wildly effective. So yeah, that's the dynamics. That's how you run team number 3. We've got Tentacruel on the lead, Trevenant on the safe swap, and Abomasnow in the back to close the game strong. So that is team number 3. And with all that said, let's have a look at team number 4. All right, here we go. Team number 4. I struggled with putting Lantern on any of my teams, but I'm thinking there might be something here. And speaking of Lantern, we have it on the lead with Pelipper on the safe swap and Abomasnow in the back. So, as we all know, Lantern, the bulk is off the charts, but it does have some issues in this meta. So we've got coverage for that in the back, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Let's have a look at this here. We've got an A for coverage. Again, C for bulk, not a big deal. It's okay. Pelipper bringing down the bulk score a little bit there. B for safety and an A for consistency. So we're still very solid overall. So Lantern on the lead, I'm very intrigued by, a little concerned just with all the grass types, but we've got coverage for those in the back. The value in Lantern comes in the form of being able to take out Weezing, which is ranked pretty high. That means it's going to get a lot of attention. A lot of people are likely going to run it for that reason. Tentacruel as well. As we saw, Tentacruel is very, very dominant, and I'm sure you will be seeing a lot of it on the lead. That's where the value of Lantern comes into play, guys. You may also see a lot of Walrein as well to contend with the grass types. Lantern has coverage there as well. So Lantern, although it has that glaring weakness of grass, and I know we are going to have a lot of grass, but I strongly believe that if you can cover that one glaring weakness, it can shine and take out some very common Pokemon that you will see on the lead. So that's where the value lies there. Of course, any strong grass type, you're out of there just as fast as you can, particularly Ferrothorn. That was the one that was concerning me the most. But basically any grass type, you're not gonna hang around there at all, really. With Abomasnow, you can a little bit because you are resisting that fast move pressure. You could stick in there to chip and dip, because if you can, you want to come into Abomasnow with Pelipper with either a shield advantage or a health advantage. That's the key there. And you do tank an energy ball pretty comfortably. So I think it is worth staying in to get that chip damage off before making the play into Pelipper. That's how I would play Abomasnow. That is the only grass type actually that you're gonna dance around with on the lead. Every other grass type in this meta, you're out of there just as fast as you can get out of there. Into Pelipper on the safe swap. Try and get a shield advantage or flip switch if you can, but mostly just grab a shield advantage and come back in with a Lantern to take out the hard counter. If they have their own Lantern, that's really the only hard check to Pelipper in this meta. You may be met with an ice type like Walrein, and Lantern can do quite well there coming back in. That's basically clearing the way for Abomasnow to close. Abomasnow can be quite the closer if you set it up in the right conditions, and that's how this team is designed. So everything else pretty straightforward. Grass, you're out of there, and you're playing on from there. So yeah, that is team number 4. Lantern on the lead, Pelipper on the safe swap, and Abomasnow in the back to close the game strong. So that is team number 4, and with all that said, let's have a look at team number 5. All right, last but certainly not least, team number 5, another team leading Lantern. Again, for the reasons I stated with team number 4. So Lantern on the lead, Weezing on the safe swap, and Mantine in the back to close for you. Much like with team number 4, we're leading with it again for the reasons I stated with team number 4. Let's have a look at the scorecard. Very solid, very strong overall, not bad. A for coverage, B for bulk, B for safety, and a B for consistency. Very solid. So again, Lantern, just like we said with team number 4, has value on the lead because I think that some of the more common leads that you will see, Lantern has very strong wins over. That being Weezing, you're going to see a lot of just because it's ranked number 1. I don't think that's quite justified, but it is still there nonetheless, and that's really what most people only look at. They don't really dive too much deeper past that. Tentacruel for sure. It's just far too tempting for people to not run it on the lead. You're going to do fine there. And again, Walrein, you're going to see a lot of. So Lantern does quite well there. You're just going to have to cover those grass types, and that's Weezing does that. Weezing has access to Overheat, which one-shots every grass type in the entire meta quite easily. Maybe not quite, maybe not Tropius, but it's darn close, guys. Close enough to be comfortable with it on the safe swap. And then you've got Mantine to add some nice bulk to the team and can do quite well if you can draw out a Lantern. That's likely what you will draw out if they have it in the back. That's kind of what you want to do with Weezing. Just because Weezing does not beat Lantern, Lantern outbulks it, and if it's running Overheat, it definitely does not beat Lantern whatsoever. So yeah, you'll want to draw out any potential Lantern that might be in the back. You might draw out a Tentacruel as well, and then Lantern can come back and take that out, clearing the way for Mantine to do okay in the end game. That's how the team is designed. Grass types, you're out of there with the exception of Abomasnow, but with this particular team, you can swap out immediately. You don't have to chip and dip with team number 5, as both of the back 2 Pokemon do quite well. So yeah, pretty straightforward. You're just out of there with the grass types. Everything else, you can hang in there and allow Lantern to do what Lantern does, and that is outbulk a lot of things. So that is team number 5. Lantern on the lead, Weezing on the safe swap, and Mantine in the back. And that about wraps it up for my top 5 best teams for the Spring Cup. Again, it's a nice option to allow a lot of you to compete in Pokemon Go Battle League if you are not yet ready for the Master League. So always nice to have that second option. And like I said, unlike other limited metas, this one's quite broad. So should be a bit of fun, at least at the beginning. We'll see how it starts to wind down. We'll have to see. But for now, at the beginning, should be a little bit of fun. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.